Michael starts off.
Tyler, let him. He got something to say first.
Real quick, I just for you guys, obviously this game being a military appreciation week, for me it's pretty important. Stands out for me only because of what I was able to do for 14 years probably of my life. So I appreciate the university. I appreciate Coach Brown giving these troops the opportunity to be celebrated because they are heroes, and just a recognition for what they do for us. And really right now with what's going on in the world at all different parts of the world, it hit homes a little bit more because for me, I got buddies, I got teammates, I got friends who have kids, who are fathers, that are out there defending us and our freedoms while I'm able to coach a game of football. You guys are able to do what you do. So for me, this is an unbelievable week. The motivation, the appreciation. When I wake up in the morning knowing that others are doing for us what we can't do for ourselves. And so I just want to start off by saying that because it is the Military Appreciation Week, and what those young men and women do for our country is amazing. And I'm pretty blessed to have been able to be a part of that for 14 years of my life. So it's going to be a heck of a week. It's going to be a heck of a game. And I can't wait to go see our guys perform to go celebrate the soldiers of our country. Fire away.
Thanks, Coach. Michael.
Charlton, I was going to ask, have the guys been extra nice to you this week, sort of being a lot more respectful than usual?
No, they we talked about it early in the week, about our focus, and as you play for different things, they understand who I am and what I'm about, and they understand the intensity we're going to bring in practice. I'm pretty much the same guy. I'm on 10 every day, so they're used to it.
And with the DB room being as banged up as it is, have you seen guys who have to be on the sideline, like Dre Boykins, for example? Has he been sort of, shadowing you, taking up, the coaching moniker while he's rehabbing?
Yeah, he's been as locked in his gauge as much as he's been able to with his rehab, which was pretty intensive. But he's in meetings at 6:30 in the morning. He's in the room asking questions because he knows his questions may help DJ or Elijah or Caleb Koss. But he's also given them some leadership on the sidelines doing practice. He's rehabbing for an hour. He'll come out, and if he sees something wrong, he's on him just like I would be on him. So I think his presence and his intensity he brings to the room and the group and to our defense as a whole is missed, but he's still heavily involved to help us get through the day.
And just one more quick one, if I can. Have you watched any Air Force games this season? Because they're having a heck of a year.
Of course, I've watched some Air Force games. I watched them throttle Navy. I watched the big win versus Wyoming. I text those guys, Troy. I'm so proud of those guys and what they're doing. And for the first time in school history, college football playoff rankings. And I gave them, a few jabs saying this might be one of the first teams that might have a chance to be better than my team. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, there you go. Thanks, man.
Yes, sir.
Luciano.
Hi, Coach. Thanks for your time. Hope you're well. You held Georgia Tech to 2 scoreless quarters and allowed all 46 points in the other 2. What would you say that was, and how much of the talk to the players since Saturday has been centered around that?
I think all the talk after a game is about getting better. And every time something good or bad happens in a game, you want to know the why. And you want to dissect it with your players and show them what we could have done better as coaches, what I could have been done better from a preparation standpoint, and what they could have did better from an execution standpoint. And I think a lot of the things, we have guys that fight, we have guys that have tremendous effort. And I think as games rock along, you have a tendency for a little thing to lead to bigger things. And we go back and dissect that. And that's what we did all week to try to fix and have answers for the issues we had in the game. I feel like we've done that. And I think our guys have really challenged themselves. We have challenged them to work on the things that cause us harm in that game so that it doesn't happen again.
That's great. Thanks.
Yes, sir.
Jeremiah.
Yeah, good morning, Charlton. Thanks for speaking with us. Hope you're doing well. I wanted to ask you about Armani Chapman. He's somebody that, kind of played sparingly to start the season, but over the course of the year, playing a lot more. He's, forced a few turnovers. Behind the scenes, how have you kind of seen him begin to come along?
Sometimes it just take transfers has spent as much time as he has in an institution. It takes him a while just to get indoctrinated into your culture and adjust to your coaching style. And then there's scheme, and then there's teammates. And I think his hardest thing, which is a testament to him, is he came in here and had to have surgery that put him on the shelf for 6 months. So his process didn't really get started till June with the guys, right? And what he was able to do from June to fall camp to September is bank reps and build equity with his teammates and make a play, and then make 3 plays, and then make 4 plays, and then get 10 reps in a game, and he made his 10 reps count. And then he got 20 reps in the game and made those 20 reps count. So now he's getting 60 reps in a game. And we talk to the guys all the time, is not about how much you play and how many plays you play, it's what you do in the plays that you play. And what he was able to do is say, Coach, you got to play me. I'm getting picks. I'm lining up and covering guys downfield. I'm doing my job at a high level, and he's right. And so what he's done is a testament to a guy coming in, working, being at the bottom because of injury, because we didn't see him, and then really just doing it week in and week out and week in and week out. And now he's experiencing, the fruits of his labor. And so I'm really proud of the young man. He's a quiet guy by nature, but he has worked, and he's worked himself to be a really productive member of our football team.
Yeah, certainly. And then to go off of that as well, how much does somebody like him help a younger player like a Tayon, who obviously, has a lot of reps and things like that? Armani had a lot of experience at Virginia Tech, and he's playing a lot here now. But yeah, how much does a player like Armani kind of help a guy like Tayon?
Tremendously. Earliest when Tayon was playing a lot of plays, when we come to the sideline, I would grab him, coach him up, and then I would see Chat on the side putting little bugs in his ear, like, hey man, shake that off. You're in good position. Hey, when this happens, remember, you got to be alert for this. And I think that's the older vet helping the young rookie sort of settle down and play, which is a different voice from his coach. And I think that helped Tayon. And the fact that now he goes in and plays for Tayon, and Tayon comes and plays for him, I think it helped them work it out as well on the field. So I think he's been really, really good for those young DBs. And even Marcus is a true sophomore. I think hearing from a guy that's played 3-4 years at a rival institution helps those guys calm down at times. So it's a different voice in mine, and it's one that on their level.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Adam?
Charlton, how's it going, man?
Awesome.
Great. On the military appreciation theme.
Yep.
Don't know if I've ever asked you, so when you were stationed at the different Air Force bases as a younger man,
Yep.
what
are you
was
trying
your
to say?
job? What's that?
You saying I'm old?
Just a little bit younger, right? I mean, no, let's keep it settled here. No, what were your different jobs? Like, I know air to ground weapons was one of them at somewhere, right? Like, what were your different jobs? And also, how much of sort of just the lingo from that walk of life do you bring into football? Like, are you like, when you're coaching guys, or you're talking, like, how much of that do you still use?
Okay. So just throughout my career, I started off I was an engineer. And so I started off as a avionics program manager. And one of my jobs early on was to take old cockpits across the world, and we updated those to digital glass cockpits. So we put new bells and whistles. So that might be in Taiwan or Japan or Germany. I was working with C-130s. I did electrical system modifications. So different communication systems that have to send signals to satellites. So basically working engineering-based programs on the money side and the warfighter side. 9/11 happened, and I was working a weapons program. And from there, we wanted to do things with special forces to put certain weapons on certain platforms at the time. And so because of that, I started doing some special forces work with air-to-ground munitions, putting GBU-38s on Predator drones, GBU-38s in B-2s to drop 80 at a time at certain locations and targets across different parts of the country. And so from there, I went into a world that was unbelievable for an unbelievable cause after we had the terrorist attacks of 9/11. So one of my greatest roles was in the war of terror was finding ways to neutralize different things and different targets at different locations with special forces people using drones and B-2s and F-16s and F-18s. And it was a joint program with the Navy. And so after doing that for about 6 years, I had an opportunity to take a career broadening assignment, and Coach Fisher DeBerry sort of took me from where I was, and I went back to the academy to be an instructor, and they put me with the football program. Really, if you look at how life pans out, not once growing up as a kid or being in the military was I going to be a football coach. At one point, I wanted to be a lawyer, and then I changed to be an engineer. And then I was going to be a career military guy and do 20 some years and probably bounce after that. I wanted to be a colonel or a general one day. And I was a major at the time. And I went back to the academy, and it just changed my life, being around kids in a different way, having to recruit young men to come to the academy and do what I was able to do, see them graduate and go fly jets and all the great things you see. That was sentimental to me, and I wanted to continue to do that. And I got the coaching bug to help develop young men. And so the power of taking a young guy from the city of Atlanta, like myself, from the inner city, like myself, recruiting him and now bring him to the Air Force Academy and see him be a second lieutenant and change the destiny of his family is unbelievable power and an unbelievable experience as a coach. Now, what I was doing in the military was awesome. I was hopefully in my time, saving lives, protecting people's lives. This was a different way for me to give back and represent. So I sort of got out of the military after 10 years of active service as a major, and then became a coach at the academy full time. Else I might still be in the military if I didn't do that. So that was my path, and that was what was set for me to do. And I love my 14 years, 10 active, 4 at the Academy of the Military. Wouldn't change it for anything. And I absolutely love coaching young men every single day and helping them reach their dreams a different way. From that standpoint, I'll never tear away the military part of my life, the discipline, the accountability, the way I walk, the way I talk, the way I instruct, the lessons I teach my players outside of scheme and coverage and technique. Everything sort of brings itself back really for me to discipline and accountability and service. And those words mean a lot of different things, a lot of different people, but to me, they mean something pretty dang important. And I try to put that on my players. They're not in the military, even though we'll do push-ups at time in the morning. We're fighting a different mission, but it's still an important mission. And I think my guys feel that, maybe that intensity. They feel that cloud over them of discipline and accountability. And, they got to do a lot of things the right way outside of just play ball. And I hope that brings a certain level of accountability to that room.
Possibly the best answer we've had on Zoom this year. No follow-up.
Drop the mic.
You're right.
Andrew?
Yeah, no doubt. That was good stuff. Actually, I wanted to ask you sort of along the lines of what Adam did. There are some militaristic connections between football and what you've done or all the different branches. And I have covered some coaches in the past that had your background, and they said that there was sort of a fine line between how much you put into football. You don't want to overdo it. So for you, where is that fine line? And what are some of the things that are absolutely you could take from your past and instill in the guys now, and they can understand it, they can handle it?
I think the things you can bring that cross over is the intensity, right? The attention to detail, the discipline, not only going to class, being on time, being in the right uniform, right? But also executing a coverage, being able to, if I'm supposed to be outside 50%, I'm outside 50%. If I'm supposed to be 7 yards deep, don't be 12. And I think all those little details are exactly what makes our military unbelievable, right? And I think you can impart that on kids, and it's practical to them. What you can't do is talk over their head or say every day, like, hey, this is like me going in the desert and my life's on the line, because it's not that. And you can't make those parallels. But teamwork, camaraderie, belief in each other, taking care of your wingman, right? Taking care of the guy next to you, going to a certain type of battle, right? All those things transcend and cross over. And so for me, the way we talk, the way we communicate, one of the biggest things I learned in the military when it comes to being where you need to be is how you communicate. Man, the game of football with tempo, with formations, if it ain't communication, right? We communicate one way: name, command, and volume. And I learned that as an 18-year-old in freaking basic training. Name, command, volume. Call their name, tell them what to do, and your volume will get their attention. And if you're not communicating like that in the secondary with jet motions and FSL and bunches and all that, you have no chance to win and compete and line up. So I think those things you can impart upon these players and hold them accountable for those without making it overbearing for them every single day.
I have two other quick questions for you.
Okay.
One, have any of the players you've coached since you left the academy ended up developing an interest in going into the service and have done so when their football days were up and you were instrumental in that happening?
Do you mean the guys at the Air Force Academy or guys at
Since you left the academy, when you were at the non-academy schools?
I tell you what, Donnie Miles, who when I was here in 2015, he played safety here.
Yeah.
Donnie, once I left, we've stayed in contact. He actually ended up in the Army, and I think he's currently still in the Army, maybe in a reserve capacity. But he was a guy I talked to a bunch while I was here about, hey, coach, if I don't go to the league, this is interesting to me. And he was able to do that. And I would say that I was instrumental maybe in helping him do that because that was my background. That was something he wanted to get into. Now, I wanted him to go to the Air Force, but my man decided to go to the Army. But hey, it's all for a good cause.
He just did that about 3 years ago, right? Was that about 3 years ago?
Don't make me tell you a lie. Within the last 5 for sure.
Yeah. I remember when that happened. The last thing I want to ask you very quickly, can you tell us all the different places you were stationed?
Colorado, Warner Robins, Georgia, Eglin Air Force Base, Florida, back to Colorado, and some undisclosed locations in the sandbox.
Well, maybe without the record on, you could tell us some of those places were. That'd be very interesting. Thank you so much for your service and appreciate the honest words here. It's been good stuff.
No problem.
Adam.
Charlton, to bring it back to football, I could listen to these stories all day, but to bring it back to football, in a coaching sense, what do you think what are the broader points that need to happen for this defense to get it back to playing at the level it was, and before these 2 games happen? What do you guys got to do to get it back?
I think a little bit is this: we look in the mirror and we realize we're the same group that went out there and beat South Carolina, and we're the same group that lined up and beat Syracuse, and we're the same group that was on a upward swing. And everyday life, whether you're a coach or a football player or a dentist, right? You're going to hit some adversity in the road, and you have to be able to handle that adversity for whatever it's caused from, whatever. No one wants to hear excuses. You're right. We got to fix our problems. And I think we have a group of young men and a group of coaches that are committed to fixing our issues to get better, to go out and play to the level of football we know we can play, right? Be more disciplined, communicate more, a little bit more attention to detail and focus, and poise. Poise is such a big thing because as teams do this and teams do that, poise. Realize and remember who you are, what you're able to do and capable of, and go out and execute it at a full tilt manner. And when we do that, we're a pretty good group. But if we do lose focus or we do get undisciplined here or there, it just leads to bad things happening in football, in life, in any game, right? Because no one's played the perfect game, and God knows we have not this year, but we've played winning football. And that's what we got to do. We got to put plays together, drives together, quarters together, halves together, and games together of winning football to allow us to win football games down the stretch. And that's what we're all committed to do.
Appreciate it today, Charlton. Great stuff.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Coach, thanks for your service. Thanks for your time today.
Appreciate you guys, man. Have a great Wednesday, guys. See you. Thanks.
Thanks, Coach.